Hey traders, checking out on the cryptocurrency space. The patterns we've been watching over the last handful of days are still intact on a lot of names. We still have clear daily downtrends as our guides and a support test battle taking place today as the broader stock market continues to show us weakness. Let's look at all of that on the charts. So first, let's check in on the dollar as we continue to set daily higher lows. We're watching very closely as we know that anybody that is bullish crypto, commodities, stocks, they want to see the dollar weak. And right now the dollar is in a monthly, weekly, daily uptrend, and it is not weak. So we are looking at a double top at the high, and this is the FOMC reaction last week where we have all this volatility, but we double topped at resistance and then we came down and we held a double bottom at support, and now we just have a tightening equilibrium within that very wide range. So there's our double top, double bottom, lower high is now set, and we're scouting a higher low, anything above 95.85. We should look for a resolution from this tightening range sometime within the next day, 24 hours, and we're either going to be headed back down to test support or headed back up to test resistance. We know the burden of proof is on the bears. Broader market is weak. Look at the gap down open to start the week on the S&P 500. So we're looking at the fear low of 447.35. And there's a lot of other sectors that are weak. I told you in the last video how IWM is a gauge of risk on, risk off market environment, as is cryptocurrency. And IWM just dropped to fresh lows. So again, the lowest price for IWM that we have seen, when's the last time we were at this level? We're looking back to July. So we are at 5-month lows. So that's definitely very notable to us. What's Bitcoin at? For that flush down, we were only at 3-month lows. So that's where the broader market stands. There is still some fear, there is still some uneasiness, and there is still weakness overall. So Bitcoin over the weekend, this was the 4-hour pattern that we've been keeping an eye on. We rejected from resistance on Friday. Nope, that was Sunday. We rejected last night. Rejected from resistance, and here we are testing support. So remaining in a clear downtrend. Again, there are no fake outs here. This is just as clear a daily downtrend as you can possibly have from the all-time high. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. You get the idea. We're setting a lot of lower highs, and we know nothing changes as long as we keep setting those lower highs. Daily EMA 12 is a great guide, and we know that if we do not break 48.4 thousand, nothing changes. If we break 48.4, it'll get our attention, and we'll say, hey, a weekly bounce is shaping up. We would then zoom out and scout a weekly lower high to be the result of that bounce, but it's all about the daily lower highs in the short term. This morning, we did hold a support level. 45, please silence all your things. 45.5 is our recent low. And this morning, we formed a double bottom at that level. So bulls are defending it, but there's a lot of proving that needs to be done. It's a 4-hour bounce right now. I would call anything under 47.6 thousand just a 4-hour lower high. That double bottom will be meaningful for me if we can confirm a 4-hour trend change in favor of the bulls. There's been a bit of a bullish correlation with the broader market just because Bitcoin's low of the day was set at 920, 930. And with weakness recently, we've been seeing the stock market open leading to a flush in Bitcoin, but today it did not. We held support, and look at the S&P 500. Its low of the day was hit at 1130. So we opened, Bitcoin bottomed right here, and the broader market kept dropping down. Not in a significant way, but it was still weaker. So again, just that slight difference, I can say today, Bitcoin has a bullish correlation with the broader stock market. So 4-hour trend change back to the bulls on Bitcoin is needed if we're going to say, okay, that daily double bottom has our attention now. The most aggressive bulls are trying to bottom fish off that level. Again, I haven't done anything since I sold my swing positions. I've played around in a couple altcoins, and we'll check in on those. But other than that, I'm just waiting very patiently. If I had no long-term touch positions, no long-term no-touch positions, I would be looking to be a little bit more aggressive. I'd be trying to get a little bit of exposure here and there with some tight stops. But because I have long-term no-touch, I know that if we shoot up 10% overnight and I miss a big move, I will benefit. So again, I'm not going aggressive as a bull in this space. What it would take for me to go aggressive right now, there are two things. Number one, a flush. Liquidate longs, again, flush, take out all those stop losses, give me daily, 4-hour, hourly, 15-minute, 5-minute, give me every time frame oversold that I just mentioned and I'll start looking at building a position. And then I would sell a bit on a bounce, and then you know how I manage things. But that's one scenario. The other scenario, big bull move, missed it, great, benefited from long-term no-touch positions, and then I would look for an entry on the daily high or low after that point, knowing that we have to confirm a daily trend change eventually if that move's going to have follow-through. Those are the only two scenarios that I'm looking for. So I'm not really looking to do anything until we see a clear flush down or a clear bull break up. And for right now, that just means patient. And I've been very patient in the cryptocurrency space. And again, it's a lot easier for me to be patient because I'm trading stocks. I've taken 8 trades in stocks today in the last 4 hours. So it's very easy for me to not care what crypto's doing when I have other avenues of attention. If I were only trading crypto, it would be a lot harder for me to sit on my hands for multiple weeks. 4 hour for Bitcoin, that's what we're looking at. So dominance chart, still in a daily downtrend. We would have to hold the low here and break the high if this double bottom is going to hold. But again, you see this environment, and the bullish action over the weekend that we saw was all based on altcoins. Bitcoin saw a bounce to a daily lower high, and some other altcoins saw significantly more strength when that was taking place. So I personally, as a cryptocurrency bull, want to see this double bottom on the dominance chart break. And I want it to break because Bitcoin is going up into a weekly bounce, and altcoins are going up faster into their weekly bounces. That would have me the most comfortable as a bull in the cryptocurrency space personally. Ethereum, still in our pattern. Look at the resistance rejections, just a bunch of them. So 12-hour equilibrium on Ethereum. Low, high of 41.16, higher low, lower high, and now the bulls are attempting a higher low compared to 36.99. So 12-hour equilibrium potentially shaping up. Bulls need an hourly trend change in their favor for us to say, yes, our 12-hour higher low is set. Anything under 40.40 is just another 12-hour lower high. And that may be an entry that I'm interested in. If we get real tight here, give me one more 12-hour lower high and a little bit of a pullback, and I will put a stop under 37.54 for just very small risk. And if the equilibrium breaks bull, I have a nicely profitable trade. And if it breaks bear, I have a small loss. So that's one thing I'll consider keeping an eye on. But again, this pattern that we've been within, we are still within it. And patiently watching for the break. ETHBTC. So daily consolidation underway. Weekly is trying to be a bull flag. And one thing that could screw that up would be, you could call it a 2-day head and shoulders at this point. We had a little head and shoulders potentially shaping up. The bulls held support and saw a bounce follow through. So that was negating it for now. But again, the last thing the bulls want to do is fail to break our recent high and then break our recent low, because that would be a clear shift in momentum. The bulls really just want to keep these daily higher lows going. So again, best case scenario would be Bitcoin breaking the daily lower highs, Ethereum breaking the 12-hour equilibrium bullish, and seeing more significant gains than Bitcoin, setting a higher low and keeping the daily higher lows going on the ETH-BTC pairing. Sol USD, double top, double bottom. So we got the double top at 189 on this daily trend change attempt that failed. And we got a double bottom at our daily higher low support at 168. So we're just trading right in the middle of that range. We're $6 above support. We're $15 below resistance. So we're much closer to support than we are to resistance. Bulls need an hourly trend change back in their favor, and it'll be a 12-hour equilibrium if we set this 12-hour higher low. So aggressive bulls had a little bottom fish level. Again, I'm in my swing position and I'm not doing a thing. If we break bull into a weekly bounce, I'll consider where I'm going to be looking to take profit. If we break bear, I'll stop out risk-free. Again, I got to stop under 148, and because I sold partial on the way up, I'm risk-free in that trade. So I don't have any decisions to make unless it's a good decision of locking in that game. Just patiently waiting. And Sol BTC has not confirmed a daily trend change yet. Best case for the bulls here, daily bull flag, confirm that trend change, and be looking up at that recent high. And again, all these things that we are looking for alt BTC pairings, we want to see that dominance chart break that monthly double bottom for alt BTC pairings to continue gaining strength. Luna's been standing out in a big way, V-shaped bounce to a new all-time high, and backburners back on the menu. One thing you have to keep in mind is, yes, you can be looking for backburners, but you got to be tracking what Big Daddy Bitcoin is doing, because that can screw up. Our most ideal backburners are when the entire crypto space is bullish and we're looking at short-term oversold bounces. When it's just one individual name looking for those short-term oversold bounces, they can still work out, but you just need to have a little extra grain of salt with that trade and that outlook. Maybe it means you use a little bit smaller position. Maybe it means you're a little bit picky by being a little bit extra patient for that bounce. But we have been seeing them play out here on Luna. You see first 5-minute oversold conditions from the all-time highs. And actually, it wasn't a great bounce. First 5-minute oversold. We did go from 70 minutes, only a couple no, that actually worked out. Let's see. No, I'm looking in the wrong spot. So first 5-minute oversold, we only got 2% bounce. But 15-minute oversold conditions has been getting some good bounces. Here was one for maybe 5%. First 15-minute oversold, then we hit it again, and then we just saw another 10% bounce. So 15-minute oversold bounces going well for Luna. 4-hour EMA 12 holding, and hourly, nice V-shaped bounce. Hourly downtrend confirmed with no follow-through. Bulls are still buying dips, and there is a fundamental aspect to this, and I don't have the details of that off the top of my head. Research that if you're interested, but Luna is definitely a lead bull for that reason. And we would have to fail the all-time high 81.87 and break this low of 72.15 if we were going to see daily consolidation shape up. And this is a big enough bounce right now where bulls are pretty much saying, okay, worst case, we set a 4-hour lower high, but we're just going to look for an equilibrium from there because we have bounced so significantly off of that 72 low. So Luna bulls definitely worth keeping an eye on, very strong. So back burners are on the table there, but again, grain of salt. And same thing, we had all those patterns that had all those altcoins that had the 4-hour falling wedge-like pattern, and a bunch of them did break bull. Mana broke it bull. Let's look at it right here. So 4-hour falling wedge bull break, and that's over a 20% move from our last higher low, but 0 follow through. So again, you got to take it with a grain of salt. What happens for me in my brain when I see an altcoin break bullish of a pattern like this, and Bitcoin has a very similar pattern, I say, great, lead bull. Make note of that, standing out strong. I know the BTC pairing is breaking out, but red flag if Bitcoin does not follow. So Mana broke the daily lower high pattern. If Bitcoin does not break the daily lower high pattern, we know this isn't going very far. You have to see the altcoin break a resistance level and then Bitcoin break its resistance level to add follow through momentum. And again, there was a handful of names that broke bull here, even Litecoin. Litecoin broke bull. But we cannot have confidence in an individual name breaking the same pattern that Bitcoin has if Bitcoin does not follow. And this was the 4-hour pattern on Litecoin that was very similar to Bitcoin. And actually, I would have had it tighter. This is how I would have drawn it. So we made a bull break, back test and held, another little leg to the upside. But again, that move quickly fading because all Bitcoin did was give us a daily lower high and head back to our recent low. So it's worth watching the altcoins that are stronger, obviously. But again, always have that in the back of your mind. Bitcoin has to follow if this move's going to see follow through. There are some instances like Luna where that's not necessarily the case, especially if there is individual coin news as a catalyst. But again, just a generalized reminder for yourself to keep in mind. So Mana, looking for a daily high or low, anything above 296, but the bulls are going to have to get back over 362 to confirm a daily trend change from here. Actually, we're in a daily uptrend, and we're just looking for another daily high or low, but trying to get a weekly bounce going. And that's what everybody in the crypto space is doing right now. Trying to get a weekly bounce going. But again, most names are just going to scout a weekly lower high. There's tons of space for these weekly lower highs. Look at IWM, our risk on stock sector. We have not seen an actual weekly bounce in 5 weeks, and there is a mountain of space for that lower high. I would say 90%, 95% of altcoins and crypto itself has space for weekly lower highs to be the result of the next bounce. But I am scouting weekly bounces. The big question that I have from here is Bitcoin going to get a flush down first to stop out the last of those longs and trigger those stop losses into a bounce? Or, I'm just looking back for similar examples. And really it would be back here. We didn't break the low, but we broke all recent lows right before a V-shaped move. So that's the question. Are we going to get one more little flush down before that weekly bounce tries to get going, or can that weekly bounce try and get going from here? BTC, also looking for the daily high or low. So again, there are some altcoins. I mean, XRP, I guess we got to look at XRP. Bulls have been standing out the last 24 hours or so. Daily bull break took place. We had the same 4-hour tightening pattern, not the same, but similar. Bull break took place. I don't really like that 4-hour pattern. But bottom line, it was a big bull break comparative to everybody else. But look how much we gave back. Look at that big upper wick. Because Bitcoin was not following along. We double topped or failed to break 93.61. So again, the opportunity is there for trades. But if these moves are going to stick, Bitcoin has to join. 16% from the daily high or low. So there are a bunch of altcoins that are positioned better than others, but they're not going to go far unless Bitcoin can break the daily lower high pattern. That is what it all boils down to. Over the next 24 hours, should get an answer, maybe 48 hours. But within the next 48 hours, we're either going to break 48.4 lower high resistance or 45.5 double bottom support now. Establish those game plans for whichever happens. What else am I in? I'm in ADA still. Small ADA position. And it was just a bottom fish play off of the lows. We did have a nice little bull move mixed in there, but my position is small enough that I need a 10% move in either direction to care about what ADA is doing right now. So tried to break bull, but double top here in the 133s, and Bitcoin did not follow along. So if ADA is going to break bull here, we need to hold the 118 base and get over 133. Then I'll start paying attention. But I'm either going to stop out for an acceptable small loss, or the weekly bounce will be underway. And again, we're getting real tight, so we know that break is imminent within the next 48 hours or so. So we'll check back in soon later this week and see which break it is. Keep an eye on those alt BTC pairings for names that are stronger than Bitcoin. There's definitely a lot more volatility in both directions in altcoins than there is in Bitcoin. And I don't think I'm going to trade Bitcoin for a while, really. It's either I'm going to be choosing Ethereum or other altcoins like Sol that have a bullish correlation with Bitcoin. Feel free to ask any questions. Hope you had a good weekend. Don't forget the stock market closes Friday for New Year's Eve. So we got a long holiday weekend where crypto is going to be doing its own thing for a while. See you soon. Do good things. So we got a lot of pictures this time around. One of the highlights of the trip. So when I was at the Conundrum Hot Springs from last time around, people suggested going to Lake Basin. And I said, sure, why not? I got nothing better to do. So headed that way, just some more campsites along the way, leaving some footprints and some towns. This is Ouray and Silverton that I was going past. Just some really cool small little towns nestled in the heart of some huge mountains with some really cool roads going through them. And there's so many pull-offs and so many views. It's hard to stay concentrated when you are new to Colorado and it's just these massive scenic views all around. There's some really cool colors on these mountains. Obviously doesn't do it justice here, but different minerals eroding away, and red and yellow and brown and orange. There's another little cute town from above. So this is the hike up to Lake Basin, and I was pretty beat up that day. I forget why. It wasn't too brutal of a hike. It was pretty steep. Had a big pack on, had a big water jug and all that. But I got to this point, which is pretty much there's two levels. There's one level up and then there's another one. And I saw tents over here and I thought, this is a nice spot, cool mountain, little lake. Maybe I'll just pitch my tent here for the night. And I said, no, I'll keep going up. It might be worth it. And it certainly was one of the best spots that I went to on the entire road trip, just in terms of, astounding beauty. And a fun aside is this has been the background of my computer for the last, I'm not lying, for the last 3 years. And my previous partner went over her house one day, and the background of her computer is pretty much this exact picture, but from maybe 50, 100 feet to the right and in the winter. Exact same place, and it was from her trip to Lake Basin. So that was some pretty cool synergy. But there was a marmot who lived there, some nice wildflowers. The wildflowers were mind-blowing, as you can see. Just, again, so much more than I anticipated would be in a pretty arid environment that is Colorado, but just lush wildflowers at the right time of year. And this was the, surround sound or surround view, panoramic view all around. That's my favorite camping spot. Sweet picture. Did have a thunderstorm roll up out of nowhere. That's the danger. This is up over the tree line, over 11,000 feet up. I think it was somewhere around, I forget, between 11 and 12. But a storm came out of nowhere from behind this ridge and dropped a little bit of snow, a little bit of hail that very quickly melted. But just in terms of the speed that it came over with no warning, but you can't see the clouds on the other side. So that was definitely a wake-up call to be more attentive. This was a rock that a marmot lived under, and that's just his life. This is what he looks at every single day. The rock is pretty much right where I'm standing, and that was blowing my mind. That's just all he knows. That's outside for him. Pretty good luck out in terms of where that dude found to live. So this is now pretty much, I stayed for 2 days, and my agenda was, I wonder what this looks like from that mountaintop or that mountaintop. So this is me exploring right here, this little river that's feeding, or this creek feeding the runoff into this extremely mineral rich, that's why it's this color. Ice cold, did dive in, but you can only stay in there for, a minute or two. But ended up hiking up into that little crevice to see where it went. And there was some cool snow melting and some, again, the white rocks of the minerals running off of the mountains, and some cool sculptures of snow. And that's one of the views from above. And you can see it's just valleys down there below. That's where you hike up. And that's the river that I climbed up. And then you can see it going down even further. That's where my picture was and where I put my tent up. And again, it's the kind of thing where I was alone in this place, the vast majority. There were 2 women that camped a bit further up. And other than that, I had this entire place to myself. This is from another peak. So that last picture was from up here. And then this is from a completely different angle. And it's a good spot. You should go to Ice Lake Basin in Colorado. And that's the view back down the valley from where we hiked up, where I hiked up. And I had something, I got all poetic up there. And I do a thing where I associate music with memories. So I have a really good memory in terms of memorizing things in school and memorizing lyrics of songs. So what I'll do is I'll be in a moment and I'll suck in that moment as much as I can while I'm playing music. And I associate that memory and the sense and all my senses with that song. And so for this song, or for this memory, I was sitting up there at sunset and I was playing Fool on the Hill. And so now anytime that I hear Fool on the Hill by the Beatles, I'm taken right back to this spot. And it's a very vivid memory for me. And I do that with a lot of songs and a lot of places that I go. So potentially something you can play with yourself, but it's really good for memory recognition for me to have an audio trigger almost to bring me back into that moment. I got poetic and I wrote something about religion, and I'll see if I can find it. I'll be right back. I can't find it, but I recreated it for this post a while ago. Some of the similar themes. Anyways, that's that. That's Ice Lake Basin, Colorado. Go to it. And we'll see you tomorrow.